It's question and answer time. Anybody got a question? Yeah.
What are some of the techniques that you can use to assess the audience before you go on?
Wow, assessing the audience before you go on. Yes, that's a really important thing. And it's like you were saying earlier as we were chatting and stuff, it's like a lot of comedians just go sit in a green room and piss around with their friends and do, make jokes and stuff. Personally, I think you should do is go out and watch the audience. Watch the MC interact with the audience. Watch a comic or two before you interact with the audience. Especially if one of those comics is a crowd work comic. Or several of them are. A lot of times MCs are, because that's the way they learn to crack a crowd, is by making them pay attention because they're talking right to them. Okay, so what I find irritating as an audience member is to, one comic come out and, hi, what's your name? My name's Julie. What do you do for a living? I'm a lawyer. Next comic comes out and says, hi, what's your name? My name's Julie. What do you do for a living? I'm a lawyer. Next comic comes out, hi, what's your name? My name's Julie. What do you do for a living? I'm a lawyer. Watch the audience, right? So you can come out and go, Julie, I'm not going to pick on you, right? And then if you want to riff or something and talk to the audience. So that's one of the things. What part of what I was saying in the previous question about how do you, when you got the lights in your eyes, that's the other answer for that is before, watch the audience. Go and say, hey, here's a couple from your point of view. Here's a couple here, there's a couple guys, so on and so forth. Listen to what they say and answer back because somebody might be a lawyer and you have a lawyer bit. Somebody might be a dentist and you have a dentist bit, right? And then you go out and talk to them and then that works right into it. So that preps you for that as well. What I used to do with things, I study audiences. Very few people study audiences. Comics will watch hundreds and hundreds of comedians, watch comedy shows. Very few of them sit and just watch the audience during a comedy show. Very few, and I used to do it all the time. And you learn fascinating things. I was directing a friend of mine's show called Laughing Matters, Michael Davis, juggler, in London on the West End, Donmore Warehouse Theatre. I was directing it. And he was getting about 80% of the laughs that he gets in the States, and maybe 90. It wasn't as high as he normally got because he really killed. And I did everything I could to adjust the show, work with him and stuff, and I thought I've done everything but stare at the audience. So I got backstage, we got cracking, and sat there and watched the audience for an entire show. I got on stage and did a volunteers bit with him so I could feel what it was like to be in front of them. What I discovered was, there's in London, there's a group of Japanese tourists over here, and Germans over here, and a few Londoners around, and well, half of them didn't, English was not their first language, so they were getting part of the jokes. I sat there and watched them, and I went back to Michael and said, hey, that's going to be the reality. This is, because they're not going to get all of your puns and all of your other things that you do that are so clever that are based in language. I don't think we're ever going to get that full, robust level you got in the United States. Came from watching an audience. I used to be a street performer for a lot of years, and at the Renaissance Fair, and somebody said to me, so how do you know when to start a street show? Because I do 10 or 15 a day, and I was making, $750 a day and doing really good shows, and these other people wondering, well, why are you doing so well? And they said, how do you know when to start a show? And this is what really happened was, I was there going, well, I did a show and a couple of shows early, and I didn't make any money. And then at a certain time, I started making a lot of money for a street show. I thought, well, I need to cut out those first few because that's a lot of work. That's 3 shows and not make much money. So I just sat on a hill at the Renaissance Fair one morning at like 7 o'clock in the morning when they let everybody in, and everybody around came in, ran around really fast to get to all the places before the lines, and ran around, right around 10:15, 10:30. The pace of everybody at the Renaissance Fair dropped in half. Now they're meandering. Now they're looking for something else to do. that's the time to start the street show. How did I know? Then these other people didn't know? It's because I sat and studied my audience. I watched these people for 3-4 hours, just how they mulled around. I did it for 3 days to make sure it wasn't just an anomaly. Then I decided, okay, 10:30, 10:15, 10:30, I will start street shows at that time. And every one of them started paying off. Okay, so, you know, the best way to prep for an audience is to know your audience, how to get ready for a show, listen to how they're interacting. Notice the kind of jokes. Do they like dirtier jokes? Do they like cleaner jokes? Some audiences want material and don't laugh at improv. Some audiences only laugh at interaction and don't laugh at material. Make that note when you go in and go, oh, you know, this seems to be, and it's a real good shortcut, this seems to be generally where this audience wants the show to be, and that puts you way ahead of the game.